The Sermon on the Mount is one of the most pivotal moments in the New Testament, encapsulating the core teachings of Jesus. Found in the Gospel of Matthew, chapters 5 through 7, this sermon is a profound discourse covering spiritual and ethical teachings that are foundational to Christian life. It is significant because it outlines the principles considered essential for living a life aligned with Christian values, including humility, compassion, and righteousness. The importance of the Sermon on the Mount in the wider context of Jesus' teachings cannot be overstated. It serves as an ethical guide for believers, offering insights into living out God's kingdom on earth. These teachings emphasize inward purity over outward ritual, urging followers to embody love, forgiveness, and humility. Two examples illustrate how to live out these principles. First, the Beatitudes, a series of blessings pronounced by Jesus, emphasize qualities such as meekness, mercy, and peacemaking. A real-world application of these teachings can be seen in community service, where individuals actively work to uplift the marginalized and bring peace. For instance, volunteering at a homeless shelter or engaging in conflict resolution initiatives directly embodies these values. Second, the admonition to turn the other cheek challenges believers to adopt a posture of non-retaliation and forgiveness. This principle can influence interpersonal relationships by encouraging individuals to resolve conflicts through understanding rather than escalation, thereby fostering harmonious communities. Supporters of these teachings often highlight their transformative power, suggesting that adherence to these principles can lead to personal and societal betterment. However, potential challenges arise due to differing interpretations and the difficulty of implementation. The radical nature of Jesus' teachings often conflicts with worldly values, such as the pursuit of wealth and power. Critics might argue that the sermon's ideals are impractical or overly idealistic in contemporary society. Despite these challenges, the Sermon on the Mount connects profoundly with broader Christian doctrines, reinforcing the call to live a life modeled on Jesus' example. It influences other aspects of the faith, such as the emphasis on personal transformation and social justice. By integrating these principles, individuals not only align with the teachings of Jesus, but also contribute to a more compassionate and just world. In essence, the Sermon on the Mount remains a vital compass for navigating the complexities of modern living through the lens of love and moral integrity. The Sermon on the Mount is a collection of teachings by Jesus that form a cornerstone of Christian ethics and spirituality. One key teaching from this sermon is the Beatitudes, which describe the attitudes and characteristics that define blessedness in the eyes of God. The Beatitudes emphasize humility, mercy, peacemaking, and a thirst for righteousness, offering a roadmap for moral living that contrasts with worldly values centered around power and wealth. The significance of the Beatitudes in relation to the broader theme of the Sermon on the Mount lies in their radical redefinition of what it means to live a good life. They provide a countercultural framework that prioritizes inner transformation over external achievements. In practice, living out these principles might look like showing mercy and compassion in everyday interactions, even when it is hard to do so. For instance, in a workplace setting, this could mean offering understanding rather than judgment when a colleague makes a mistake. Another example is advocating for social justice, addressing systemic inequalities that marginalize vulnerable populations, which resonates with the Beatitude that blesses those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Supporters of these teachings, such as theologian N.T. Wright, argue that they challenge Christians to embody the kingdom of God on earth, promoting a way of life that aligns with divine values. However, there are potential challenges in fully embracing these principles. Critics, like some scholars, might debate their practicality in a competitive world that often values material success. Additionally, there may be controversy over how these teachings align with various interpretations within different Christian denominations, each prioritizing different aspects of the Beatitudes. The connection between the Beatitudes and other aspects of the Sermon on the Mount is profound. They underpin Jesus' further teachings on topics such as love for enemies, the importance of sincerity in religious practices, and the call to trust in God's provision. By fostering a foundation of humility and compassion, the Beatitudes influence how individuals engage with these subsequent teachings, creating a comprehensive guide for ethical living that influences both personal growth and social interactions. In essence, the Sermon on the Mount encourages a holistic approach to life that calls for inner change to reflect outwardly in action, guiding believers toward a more profound sense of purpose and connection to God's vision for humanity. The Beatitudes, outlined in Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, serve as a foundational blueprint for Christian living. These teachings consist of a series of blessings that describe the ideal characteristics and attitudes of followers of Christ. Each beatitude begins with "Blessed are" and highlights qualities such as humility, mercy, and peacemaking, encouraging a disposition aligned with godly values and promises of spiritual richness rather than earthly rewards. The significance of the Beatitudes lies in their profound capacity to redefine societal norms and values. In a world often driven by power, wealth, and self-interest, the Beatitudes present a radical vision of life that prioritizes spiritual depth, moral integrity, and community harmony. These teachings invite individuals to embody a way of life that resonates deeply with Jesus' broader message of love, justice, and reconciliation. Real-world applications of the Beatitudes can be seen in everyday acts of kindness and in global movements for social justice. For instance, the Beatitude, "Blessed are the peacemakers," can inspire individuals to engage in conflict resolution at personal or communal levels, fostering environments where understanding and cooperation prevail over discord. Additionally, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness," often translates into activism and advocacy, as believers work to promote equity and challenge injustices in society. Opinions supporting the Beatitudes emphasize their timeless relevance and transformative power. Many theologians and spiritual leaders argue that the Beatitudes provide a concise ethical framework applicable to personal life as well as global challenges, offering guidance on what it means to live a life reflective of Christ's teachings. However, the Beatitudes are not without challenges or controversies. Critics argue that the principles outlined can appear idealistic, difficult to attain, or incompatible with the complexities of modern life. Additionally, some may question the practical implications of prioritizing spiritual poverty or meekness in a competitive world. Nevertheless, proponents contend that striving for these ideals fosters a deeper, more meaningful existence and underscores a commitment to moral and spiritual growth. The Beatitudes connect intricately with other aspects of Christian doctrine by providing a foundation upon which other teachings stand. They influence how Christians interpret the nature of true discipleship and shape interactions within various spheres of life. As believers strive to live out these principles, they embody the core of Jesus' message, reinforcing the underlying theme of the Sermon on the Mount, a call to holiness, compassion, and authentic relationships with God and others. The Sermon on the Mount, found in the Gospel of Matthew, chapters 5 to 7, is a collection of teachings by Jesus that encapsulates fundamental Christian ethics and principles for living. It is often heralded as a cornerstone of Christian moral teaching, emphasizing inner transformation over mere adherence to law. One of its core components is the Beatitudes, which describe the attitudes and characteristics that align with the values of the kingdom of heaven, such as humility, mercy, and peacemaking. The significance of these teachings is manifold. They challenge individuals to cultivate a deep-seated righteousness that surpasses superficial religiosity, seeking genuine moral integrity. In practical terms, living out these teachings can be manifested in two key ways. First, consider the concept of forgiveness, pivotal to Jesus' message. Individuals may find themselves in situations of conflict, whether in personal relationships or at work. Embracing forgiveness, as taught in the Sermon on the Mount, can dissolve tension and foster reconciliation, reflecting Jesus' call to turn the other cheek and love one's enemies. A second example is the call to generosity, underscored in Jesus' admonition to give to the needy. This is evident in initiatives like food drives or support for the homeless, where communities mobilize resources to uplift those in poverty, living out the principle of laying up treasures in heaven. Many Christians and scholars view these teachings as a blueprint for a just and compassionate society. Theologians like Dietrich Bonhoeffer have championed these principles as critical to an authentic Christian life, emphasizing that they are not idealistic aspirations, but calls to radical discipleship. However, there are challenges and controversies surrounding the Sermon on the Mount. Critics argue that these ideals are too idealistic and impractical in a complex world. Others question the feasibility of their absolute adherence in a society driven by different value systems. Such critiques suggest alternative views, advocating for a more pragmatic approach to interpreting these teachings. Despite these challenges, the Sermon on the Mount remains a profound influence, linking directly to broader Christian themes of love, justice, and mercy. It encourages believers to reflect these values in their actions and decisions, thereby integrating these principles with aspects of faith such as prayer and worship. By embodying the teachings of the sermon, individuals not only adhere to a higher moral standard, but also inspire societal transformation toward broader compassion and equity.
Thanks for watching. For more fun videos, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.